82 years ago today, my grandfather is on HMS Anthony, racing across the Atlantic from Iceland to join 4 other destroyers that are also trying to catch up or keep up as best they can with HMS Hood and the HMS Prince of Wales. On that day, unfortunately, we lost the Hood, and my grandfather, when he heard the news over the tannoy on the ship, which was ready for battle stations, rigged to take on any survivors that might get picked up from the sea, they're racing across the sea, and over the tannoy the captain simply says, "Hood sunk." My grandfather, his reaction was to immediately say, "I don't believe that." Welcome to First Impressions. My grandfather's immediate reaction was, "I don't believe that," which today we can interpret as, "I don't want to believe that." Possibly, well, for my money at least, the most beautiful warship ever designed, HMS Hood. So this kit came out in 2016, and I thought we'd kick off with a little bit of history on the kit before we get stuck into what you get in the box. So Trumpeter, before they released their 1-200 kit in 2016, had developed a 1-700 kit and then a 1-350 kit. And when they were designing those kits, they worked very, very closely with the HMS Hood Association. And as a result, they became extremely detailed and accurate kits. And I will still tell you that I think that Trumpeter's 1-350 HMS Hood kit is probably the most accurate 1-350 scale kit on the market to my knowledge. When they came to do the 1-200 version, they didn't work with the association. They basically scaled up all the information they'd already collected from those other 2 kits. So the result is, in the time between the 1-350 scale kit and 2016, 1 or 2 discoveries had been made about the Hood. Probably the most famous and impactful one on the overall kit was the discovery that she didn't have an anti-foul red hull, but an anti-foul grey hull. But there were 1 or 2 other things as well, and those minor little alterations were not picked up in this kit. So what you're about to look at is a kit that is extremely accurate in all its details and proportions. It's an excellent kit, but it does have 1 or 2 minor issues. Now I'm going to take you through what you get in the kit. We're not going to do a close detailed review of what's right and what's wrong. If you want to know what needs to be corrected on this kit, then there is a page dedicated to it on the HMS Association website page. So what I am going to do is going to show you what you get in the kit. So if you're ever interested in building what is, by anybody's standards, one of the most beautiful warships ever designed, then you know what you're getting into. Right, without further ado, let's have a look. Right, the box is just a little bit too big to get on camera. Even at this distance, we're struggling. But let's have a quick look at the box. It's the usual Trumpeter offering. You've got a large box. Inside you've got the hull in its own box, and then you've got several other boxes which contain the kit parts. It's a single piece hull. We'll have a look at that in a minute. The length of the finished kit is 1,318 millimeters. Its beam is 163 millimeters and the part count is 1490 plus. That's including the photo etch. So you've not got that many plastic parts, but there's a lot in this kit to go at. On the sides we've got box art, we've got some imagery, and then on the underside we've got some CAD imagery and an image of the 5 frets of photo etch. I think we've got some duplications in there as well, so there might be some more etch around railings and the like. Okay, so that's what you get on the box. Let's have a look inside. So inside the box we have the hull box and other boxes, and then we have our usual style instructions. So we'll take those out and we'll have a look at those in a minute. What we'll do is we'll go through this box at a time and go through the instructions and give you a feel for what you get in the kit.
Typical of Trumpeter, the paint instructions are a single sheet which gives you different views, and then we list out the paint systems there. So we've got Mr. Hobby, Vallejo, Model Master, Tamiya and Humbrol. Generally the correct thing to do with Trumpeter's painting and marking guide is to chuck it in the bin, do your own research and do it correct, because I see some really bizarre things done by Trumpeter when it comes to their paint schemes. The most glaring and largest mistake that some modelers who are not in the know would easily miss is the fact that the red anti-fouling on the hull is incorrect. It should actually be grey, not red, which makes for a less colourful model, I grant you. When I heard the news that they discovered that it had been painted in grey, they found some records showing that on the last refit it was painted grey. I was like, oh, I don't like that. Are you sure? Are you double sure? So it's a bit like some people were with HMS Victory. You're so used to seeing it with a red hull that it seems odd not to be, but it should be in the grey. So if you want to make it look colourful, by all means go with the red. It may well have had red at some point in its life, but if you want to make it historically accurate, as sunk, she had a grey hull. So best thing to do is ignore the paint instructions and move on and do your own research. What I will say though is that the fundamental basic colour idea is correct. Wood decks, darker steel decks and pale grey. There are particular colours that you could get if you go and look at the colour coats range of enamels. That'll give you a good steer of what is the correct Royal Navy colours for the time. So you know, for example, the boot line is called out as flat black, and that's incorrect because it should be gloss. So there's all sorts of little errors on here. So the best thing to do is to do your own research and get it correct yourself. Time to get to grips with the instructions. So the usual layout from Trumpeter is a landscape format. We've got a stapled black and white document, and on the front there we have an image of the model, which is obviously the ship. We have a little bit of read before assembly instructions, some instructions for applying the decals, and then we have a key that might be used throughout the build. And at the top here it has our kit number, which is 03710. As we open this up, we're then greeted by a sprue map, and that takes us through everything that should be in the kit, and we will go through all of these afterwards. But as a sprue map, it's only really functional as making sure you've got the right number of sprues at the start. There's no numbers or anything visible. Now I have to apologise, I have been renumbering the sequence in the instructions. As you'll see, 10 becomes 29. So you'll just have to ignore that, but that's the only adjustments I've made. So our build starts with putting in the strengthening bars across the hull there. There is no base supplied with the kit, so this nameplate stands separately, and at this stage you've got to be thinking about how you want to mount it, because you're either drilling holes in or something like that, depending on how you intend to display it, whether that's pedestals or on a wood base of some type. So that's completely up to you, not supplied in the kit. Then we're putting the deck on, 3 pieces across the bottom there, and that incorporates our little step there as well, which we can see there. So that's all good and straightforward. Then we're building up the shaft lines. You can see the rudder going in, the propellers, the A-frames, and the metal shafts. What I would say is you do need to do that before painting, because if there's any filling or sanding needing doing around the joins of the shaft lines, that has to be done before painting. But I'd probably leave the propellers and the rudder off until right at the back end of the build. Then next thing to go in is the superstructure that gets covered. I mean, there's a deck goes above that. So we're putting in, we've got the 2 little pieces that go in there, and even though you're not really going to see them, they have put the doors in, which is a nice touch. And we've got the first photo etch there with some cable reels that are going up, or probably hose given their mounting points. So some big pieces going in there. You need to check your references to see what other details should be in there. I know there was a lot of floating devices along the bulkhead there, so a little bit of research. Then at step 7 we're starting to put in some ventilators and other support bits. We've got some lockers going in, so there's a little bit of detail going in there, which is nice to see, because there is openings here, but it will be limited visibility. And so far the run of the build instructions makes sense. Then we've got this huge piece of deck and bulkhead going in. No doubt that's a large slide moulded piece. There's some little bits to go in that form the curved sort of bowl shapes underneath some of these overhanging decks, and then that all slots down into place, which is good. Then step 9, we're building forward superstructure. Now you can see I've resequenced that because given the size of this model, it makes more sense to start from the middle, the center of the ship, and work outwards. So I'll be doing the funnels, so you're not having to reach over them later on in the build. So for me, I'll change the order. But Trumpeter have you building the forward superstructure now. So we've got things like the we have pyrovanes being built up there. We've got booms going on and some. So that's then being put into place. And as we turn over step 11, we're starting to add ladders down where we've got some of these openings in the deck, which is nice. You'll be able to look down into there and see those ladders. There are some that are moulded in and closed later on, and you might want to think about opening those up as well. Then we've got, what have we got there? We've got a boom being mounted on there, stationary boom, and then that's actually a rubbish chute on the side there, a waste chute. Then on step 12, we're adding all the equipment onto the boat deck so that we can sling the ship's boats. Again, stuff that all makes sense to be doing at this time. And then we've got all the mushroom vents going on, and there's a lot of them. It's a big old ship. And they used to put a lot of these mushroom vents in. You'll have them on all the deck surfaces. We've also got some chimneys there, which are around the mess decks area. And we've got some winding gear that we're making up. And whenever you need to use one, they're having you make up the full set. So you end up with a load of sub-assemblies. But you can see here, we don't need them till a bit later on. So we can see the winding gear going in there. We've got lockers going in, ready-use lockers, and cable reels of various sorts. So they're all being made up and dotted around. Quite a busy looking deck already, and we've not actually started putting any main fittings on yet. Then we've got more ready-use lockers going on. Quite a lot of them, the big, tall, double-sized ones, and then we're looking at the bow. So we're putting all the deck fittings in, which means we've got the breakwaters going in, primary, secondary breakwaters. There's a little bit of equipment to mount onto them, and then we've got the various capstans and winding gear for the anchors. Followed by more mushroom vents, some lockers. We've got the bonnets going in for the chain, and another capstan going in. Yeah, but mainly all of that is mushroom vents. So there's a lot of clean up of the various different types. Then when we flip over, step 22. We're adding some ducting around the front of the fuselage there, and we're sneaking in a few more mushroom vents, and then we've got winding gear, more ducting and ventilation going in, some cable reels. So just a continuation of the deck furniture. There's lots of it, so it's good that they're breaking this up into little sections. It makes it much more manageable. Still focusing on our deck here at the bow, adding the chain, adding the anchors. Anchors are a nice 4-piece assembly, so they'll look nice and detailed, and loads of ducting going around the base of the gun mounts there, more winding equipment, and I'm not really sure what these are. They're quite unusual, but they sit in just there on the corners of the breakwater. So I don't know whether they're like a buttress and they're just there to support it, or whether they're used as some form of locker. It's suggesting there's some form of locker door or something going on there. So something stowed in there, rope maybe, or maybe the equipment for the pyrovanes. I don't know. Then we're turning our attention to the stern, more mushroom vents, winding gear, ducting. We've got the little photo etch shutters going on the windows there, and we've got the ladder and platform, and the double opening doors there. So yeah, that's a nice little touch as well. We've got a little bit of a picture there just showing you the positions of some of these things fitted, because it's sort of hidden around the back on that instruction. So that's good. Carrying on with the stern deck, more ducting, more mushroom vents, a capstan from when there was, I believe there was a stern anchor that then they sealed up at some point. I think that's right, or it could be used part-time or something like that. Not 100% sure. It's been a while since I read around the hood, to be honest. Then we've got a boom that goes across there, so that ship's boats can come and dock up at the stern there. Then we're back to the bow, and now that's really interesting. We've got the equipment, the A-frame equipment for launching the paravanes being rigged up. So that wouldn't be rigged up most of the time. It's only rigged up when the paravanes are deployed. So you've possibly got an option there to, with a little bit of wire or stretch sprue or something rigid, hang the paravanes over the hull there. That could be an interesting animation that you don't usually see. There's some small davits going in. We've got some bollards, fair leads at the front, and the jackstaff. And you can see I've written 150 there. That's my step 150, because it'll be probably the very last thing we do is put that on, because that is going to get snapped every couple of days if you put it on now. Right then, moving to the stern deck, we've got more little davits, fair leads and bollards. I'll be honest, probably, and the stern flagpole there, not only would I not be putting that on, I'm probably not going to be putting these on either until I've got the railings on. So later in the build, anything you can catch, you can snag, you can break, so you don't want to put it on just yet. Step 31, a couple of the ship's boats being built up, some more cable reels, and then we've got this structure being built up, which has got this these spreaders on out of photo etch. Then we've got cable reels going on, some boat mounts, which will be for those two boats no doubt, winding gear and lockers. Then we're mounting those two boats, and more life rafts, some of them being double stacked, and then we're putting our first bits of railing on. So we're building this as a sort of a sub-assembly for the deck, and it's one of the funnel bases. And then we jump off that, and then we jump back to it. So just jump around a little bit, although it's not as bad as some Trumpeter ship kits I've got. Right then, we've got signal lamps, make 6 of. We've got observation equipment, make 3 of. Range finding equipment. Then we've got some superstructure at the rear there. Oh no, that's interesting. There's a little metal plate that goes in, a little photo etch plate, which has got a door and a ladder in, that's going inside there. So we'll have to have a look at the plastic parts and see if there's any cleanup needed. What you don't want is a seam down the middle, so it's really difficult to get that in flat without cleanup. Then when we flip it upside down, we've got some photo etch gussets. That's all good. Adds us a little bit of detail. More gussets going on there. Some railings and platforms. Really nice and detailed. Then life rafts. Bit more in the way of railing. Then we finally add the rangefinder and the signal lamps. And we've got some structures there to go on the back. Yeah, really nice and detailed. That's nice to see. Then when we flip over, we're going to the funnel-based structure that we've previously made up, and then we've got another little building here, which we're not adding anything to it. It's the kit part as it comes. It's got a lot of ventilation on there, and that's the base for the other funnel. And then this structure that we've just made up is going in there. as we carry on, we've got some little sub-assemblies along the top there. So these are all small structures that are going to be needed for populating the deck, and we can see them going in there. So all sorts of, we've got little sort of skylight type things and bases for other things. I think I want to say that's the cinema, but I can't remember. But I've got a feeling that's the cinema house, but I might be wrong. Then when we flip over, we've got more structures going in, smaller structures. So there's ventilated boxes and bits and pieces like that going in, more skylights and some lockers. And then we're going to build this here, which is going to end up in this area here. So it's a gun platform, anti-aircraft gun platform. So the ready-use lockers going on. We've got the wind deflectors, a vertical ladder. Then we're building the actual gun itself, mounting that, same make 4 and make 2. I'm not quite sure what that is. Again, it's been a while since I read around the hood. I'm going to have to get myself familiar again with it, aren't I? Okay, so anti-aircraft gun positions going in, searchlight positions going in, more ladders going in through openings, which is good to see, lots of detail. Step 42, we've got more lockers going in. They look like they could be flag lockers. And if you think about the position, you're pretty much at the base of the mast tripod. So I'm pretty sure that they will be flag lockers going in there. Some structures around the base. There's going to be another deck sitting on top of that in a minute. Then we're making up the, these are signals, so that they could move them, and you could, other ships could, with their binoculars, see the signal, and it was an alternative to using flags, signal flags. We've got some signal lamps and some observation equipment, and then it's all being fitted out on what is no doubt the observation deck. As we flip over, we've got more rangefinders going in, and now I'm interested, have they omitted? Yeah, they might have. We'll talk about that in a sec. So rangefinders, bit of railing going in. Then we've got another bit of deck going in with these armoured areas. These are quite heavily armoured, so it's like fire control and that sort of stuff's all in there, I think. We've got the red and green lamps going on, the navigation lamps, and yeah, it looks to me like they're missing. So there was a modification made to Hood right near the end of her life, and there should be actually a little covered walkway that goes out to these, which has been missed off. So that will have to be scratch built, unless the aftermarket people recover that situation for you. Some ladders going in on that deck, and then we've got range finding again, and being built up with a bit of photo etch to add some detail, which is nice. So we're starting to build up this area, and you can see where my problem with this is. You're building this up, but look how high it's getting compared to where the funnels are. So you're going to have to reach over all of this to get in to put your funnels in. So for me, it doesn't make sense. Put the funnels in, build up your middle structures, so that you're not having to pass over them, and work up and work out. Okay. More spotting equipment, signal lamps, range finding, radar, and then our step 51, we are building the spotting top, which, yeah, they've omitted. There is a walkway that walks down this side here, which was added on one of our later refits, and it's missing on the 1 to 350 scale kit, so it's missing on the 1 to 200 scale kit. So that will have to be put in. It's a perforated sort of rung walkway, so yeah, you might have to try and find some scrap photo etch to do that, but it needs to be put in to be accurate and correct. Anyway, we're building up the starfish. We've got the little plastic centre going in, and then we're putting in all the gussets, the braces. We've got a yard arms going in there. And then we've got more observation equipment going in, and bridge structures. Lots of information being collected by the bridge with observations and stuff. More signal lamps, and then that all comes together. More observation equipment, and we're making up a number of small inclined ladders, which we're then putting in with a bit of railing, more ladders and railing going in, and then we've got a little mast section with a platform. So I always think it's a very unusual shape, that platform, but it is correct. Then we're putting in the tripod leg, both sides. So we're putting in the 2 tripod legs. We can see it there. Flip it upside down and put the gussets on. Okay, interesting. That'll be tricky at that stage. You might have to look at that and see if that can be done earlier before we put this mast bit on, or even the railings at this point if possible. I think that would make more sense. Then righting it up, we've got equipment that we're putting on that little deck. We've got some ladders to go up the mast, up to the spotting top. And that's the top of our tripod built with the spotting top on. Then we're turning our attention to the funnels. So the funnels are being made up. It's 2 halves, a base, photo etch walkway going in. Then we've got photo etch that sits on top, which has the pulleys on, so you need to fold those down. And then if you're up to it, you can put some easy line or similar as guide ropes from there to the base, because they were always rigged. Then we've got some very careful, delicate folding of these arms. It is very, very tricky. It's a really, really difficult job. And that's got to be attached to this frame, and the frame's got to be bent in such a way that that sits proud of the top. It is a real tricky piece of work. I've done it in 1-350 a couple of times now. Built two hoods. I've done the White Ensign Models resin one, and I've done the Trumpeter 1-350 one, and both times that was the worst bit of the build. So I'm not looking forward to that. I might put cotton wool in and a lot of smoke, and then you can't see it. Then we've got our ventilation tubes and what have you. And then we're doing it again on the second funnel. One of the funnels is smaller than the other, which is incorrect, but for most people, they're never going to see it. So don't worry about it. Right, then we are focusing on the rear mast. So we've got all sorts of bits and pieces going on to build up the mast, little platforms, railings, all sorts of booms, radar equipment and so on, and it all culminates in another tripod, then another starfish. So we've got a photo etch starfish base to build up there. Then as we flip her over, we can see all that coming together. Ladders going on. There's probably some rigging that can be added at this stage as well, and then we're putting on the very distinctive crane. You can see it being built up there and then being installed. So there's some block and pulleys. Most of it is plastic, but there is some photo etch in there. And then when we flip over, we've got another crane, smaller crane, is it? Oh right, yeah, the two little cranes that go either side of the rear funnel there. And then we're putting that structure in, and the funnels. For me, though, funnels going first, then you can put any guide ropes and rigging in that area in without having to worry about these delicate structures being in the way. Ship's boats, there's lots of them. So we've got all sorts of motor launchers, boats that are rowed, powered or rowed, boats that are only rowed. Most of them appear to have photo etched propellers and rudders and yeah, even shaft lines on the Admiral's launch and stuff. So they look like they're nicely detailed. We'll have a look at how good they are in the plastic. So they're being installed now, and again, I would undoubtedly have installed these before the mast goes in, because you're sort of reaching over stuff. Unless you've got some rigging, I suppose, have to look at it and assess it at the time. But yeah, there will be a lot of rigging will have been done by this stage, even though we're at step 66 and not done. It's not a case of finish the build and do the rigging. Rig as you go is always my recommendation. Right, more ship's boats going on this side, so that's just a duplication of what we've seen, but although different boats in different places. Then we're building up these, and I keep forgetting what they're called, but they're like little rocket launcher type things. So we make 4 of them. It's a combination of plastic tubes and then this photo etch that gets wrapped around it, so it should look fairly authentic. Then we're building up secondary armament, pom-poms. They look very detailed. We've got the I hope they've got the ammunition moulded in, which will be nice, painted up. So these are going to be little individual models in their own right, no doubt about it. Then we're building up the main guns, and they are all different, so be careful of them. No two turrets the same. As you can see, we've got remnants of a aircraft catapult on one of them. We've got slightly different shapes because of their positions, and then we've got this launcher on the top of one of them, and it's only on one. So all of the gun turrets end up being different and unique. Step 74 now, and all the armament gets dropped into place. So it's looking like she's nearly done. Step 75, we've got some ladders to make up. We've got the boarding ladders to be made up. They don't give you an option to stow it away, but that is possible. We've got the little copper floats in their baskets being mounted on, and then bits of railing going on in various places. And then step 77, we've got bow photo etch railing around the deck going on both sides. And then our final step, 78, is finishing off the railing and more boarding ladders, and then right here at the end we've got the boarding ladders for ship's boats onto the booms. So I'm glad they put that in at the end because they're very delicate. And that is the ship built. There is a lot going on the hood. She is a very busy ship. Let's have a look at the plastic.
So our hull is a single piece hull, and the basic shape appears to be good. Now, we're not going to delve into what's right and what's wrong. I'm just going to show you what there is and what you get in the kit. You can then take a view by doing your own research, but I would recommend there's a very good The Anatomy of the Ship book, and obviously the Hood Association website, which goes through this kit in detail. So what we've got is we've got a hull that replicates the texturing that you get on the original ship. So we can see, if I bring this a bit closer to camera, you can see we've got plating detail on there. It's probably a little bit heavy, might want to be sanded down a little bit, but it's all there and it's all good. We've got the nice hose pipe shape there in the side of the hull. We've got nicely replicated scuttles. If memory serves, one or two of them are a little bit off, but I think it's fundamentally right. The bulge in the hull is correct, so we've got this lovely, beautiful hull shape here. The bilge keels, they're a little bit thick. They need a little bit of channeling out, maybe, if that's your game. Now, this is slide molded, obviously, so you do get slide mold seam that needs to be sanded out. But for most modelers, it's simply a case of dealing with the seam, cleaning it up, and then this hull is ready to go. There is a little lump right on the front here, if you can see that. That's supposed to be on there, so don't take that off. In fact, there should be some holes in there that you might want to drill through, because that's how they mount pyrovanes. Now, there is a solid line on here which goes all the way around. That's the degaussing cable. It's a little bit simplified. You can get photo etch replacements, so you might want to look at removing that and replacing that with photo etch. Otherwise, what you've got here is a very beautiful hull that is pretty much correct dimensionally, is my understanding at least. But like I say, you'll want to check. But that is the hull. It's a thing of beauty, because the ship is a thing of beauty. Let me show you. There's the bow. And that gives you an impression of the overall size of this kit. Right, that's the hull. Let's have a look at the other parts. Then we get 3 boxes, which are A, B and C. They're not referenced as A, B and C in the instructions, so it doesn't say box A, sprue Z, whatever. They've just put letters on them. It's a little bit random. But 3 boxes. So we'll do them one at a time. So we'll do them in the order of what's in the box. Let's look in box A first. And what we've got in there is a number of sprues in their individual bags. And then at the bottom of the box, we've got the photo etch. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift it all out and we'll go through it all one at a time. You can see this has never been opened. I have never looked at it in detail. And we've got some, which I imagine are the shaft lines for the propeller. Right, so let's start with the plastic. First bag has got 3 sprues in, which are our main guns. So if we take 2 of them off, this is sprue H. Put that to one side. What you can see is we've got the two turrets there, which are nicely single piece moulded. It's got the shape on of the edge of the base there, which is quite a famous shape. It's unusual. I always think they look a little bit like H.G. Wells's Martians, to be honest. 2 eyes, and we just need some tripod legs. Anyway, these are slide molded, as we can see, but they don't have rivet detail on the sides, only on the top. We get 3 nicely side moulded main guns in there, and then we've got the rangefinders there. I'm not quite sure what those are, but yeah. So all the parts that you need for the key for the main guns, these key into there with, and then those pegs go through there. So the guns are going to be adjustable individually, which is good if you want to show them firing or reloading or whatever. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. It's crisply moulded. There is a little bit of seam on it, but yeah, that's really quite nice. Sprue out is A, and you can see there is some protective foam on here. So I'm just going to cut through the tape, and then we can see what's behind the foam. Okay, so what we've got is we've got the rudder, which is nicely detailed with some fastener detail. It's a little bit of sink in there, but don't think it's going to be too noticeable when under paint. We've got our breakwater here, which is nicely done. We've got our A-frames for the shaft lines, and they're not bad at all, actually. Quite often you see these with horrendous moulding steps in them, but these are not bad at all. We've got some Superstructure parts here with watertight doors already moulded in, which is nice. These go behind the breakwater there. They look good as well, although I think these little lines that are little grooves there, I think they should follow down there, so you might want to take a razor saw and follow that through, but check your references, don't take it on my say so, just check that. We've got some smaller breakwaters here that go up the side of the superstructure along the length of the bow section of the ship. Then we've got a lot of individual ducting, which is nicely done. Some capstans. We've got some booms. Looks like the jackstaff, and for bow and aft, we've got some very delicate booms and lifting rig and what have you. So yeah, all very nice. And then we've got the fair leads here, which seem to be moulded in the correct shapes, which is brilliant. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Very nice. Very, very nice. Through B, and we've got lots of superstructure parts here. So we've got a number of different deck areas. All of them are smooth, which indicates that there are steel decks, possibly anti-slip, so Semtex decks maybe. We've got some form of boom, could be associated with Mast. It's been a little while since I've looked at the hood, so some of these parts I'm not recognising as much as I perhaps would have done a few years ago. They are part of the tripod mast. We've got some little buildings which seem to be a little bit bereft of detail. This is the little point where the tripod mast becomes a singular mast. There's a little bit of sink we can just see there, and another sort of box bereft of detail, but I'm sure there's bits and things to go on there. We've got deck here with the splinter shields moulded on, and actually they're fairly thin, they're not too bad. Couple of ejector pin marks that we need to fill underneath. This goes on to, this is a anti-aircraft position, I think, that goes on one of the guns. We've got an alternative main gun rangefinder there. Some other little buildings. This time we've got slide moulded watertight doors on. These watertight doors have the latches, whereas the other ones didn't. And we've got some scuttles there. Then we've got the ventilators, and they're nicely done. You can see we've got mesh texture in there, which is really nice. And then some other little structures. We've got the ladders done on them as well, so this is really nice. More booms, tiny little holes in the end there so we can mount them onto something, and this definitely looks like the foremast yard, which has the flag lines on it. You can see the little loops there, and that is really, really nicely done. Really nicely done. You have to be careful taking that off and cleaning that up, but yeah, lovely. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Some really nice parts on there. Not quite sure what they are. I think maybe something to do with the cranes, possibly. Got hang rungs on them. Yeah, very nice. Okay, our next sprue contains the parts primarily for the funnel. It's nice to see that they're grouping those together. You can see these are slide moulded. We've also got an anti-aircraft position here, and a couple of searchlight platforms. These are the bases for the funnels, the funnel cap base, and then we've got this is the chimney from the kitchen, and we've got one float there, one life raft, I should say, and a couple of boat chocks. And when you look at this, you can see all these little lines here, which are really nicely done. This is all the rivet pattern for the funnel, and then on top of that we should have some little cables which allows basically a plank of wood between the cables to be lifted up so that people can paint the funnel, maintain the funnel. So notoriously on this kit they have one of the funnels smaller than the other, so looking at it end on, this one seems to be the one that's slightly smaller, and that's incorrect. The funnels were the same size. Not an easy thing to get rid of. Most people wouldn't know in the first place that it's incorrect, wouldn't visually see that it's a different size, particularly anyway, because it is only slight, but it is incorrect. I will be correcting mine, but the solution I'm using is no longer available. So a very, very difficult one for modelers to resolve. If you've got the Pontos set, you get you sand all this flat and you wrap it in photo etch, so which I think will be quite challenging as well. Anyhow, the platforms, that's completely bereft of any detail, so there should be some detail on there, so some work would need to be done on your references. There is a little bit of sink in that top deck, but again, if you're using aftermarket, that's likely to get covered, I would imagine. We have a couple of ready use lockers in there and a ladder to go down there. There's a little bit of, I'm not sure if that looks like a location point for something rather than flash, which was my first reaction. Now everything is nice and crisply moulded. It's got lovely level of detail. I mean, look at the raft. You've got all the hand ropes on it and stuff. So it's very nicely done indeed. Lovely. Plastic parts in box A dealt with. We have this little bag which has 4 shaft lines in it, which will make that job nice and easy, no cleanup required. And we've also got an anchor chain. Now at this scale it's very difficult to do stud chain, which would be correct, has the little bar between the links. You can get 3D printed and resin and stuff like that, but to me it always looks a little bit oversized. I don't think that looks too bad. We've got an elongated chain, so I think that's not bad, and I think Trumpeter did a good job of selecting that chain. Obviously it shouldn't be that colour, depending on when you're depicting Hood. Depends on what colour it is, but the model depicts the Hood as she was sunk. There's quite a lot of work to do to get her back to as launched, where you might find that the chain was white. I'm not going to open all the bags of the photo etch. We should be able to just do this on camera. So there you go, there's our first one. We've got our starfish platform there. We've got railings which look to me like they've all been done specifically cut to size, which is nice. We've got some what will be the cables for the anchors, which will be interesting to see how easy it is to work with those. Then we've got the bracing that goes under the starfish there. We've got some little front faces, so some of the plastic parts that we've seen that have got no features on, they appear to be dressing at least one of those with photo etch. We've got some watertight doors, some ordinary doors, and I imagine that's for the mast. Pulley frames, that might be for cable reels. So yeah, very nice number of ladders as well, so nothing wrong with that. The standard Trumpeter alloy, which I still don't know what it is, but it certainly ain't pure brass. This bag has 2 E frets, so we've got double amount of these, and it does look like all the railings are purposely cut to size, so that's going to make life a lot easier if you're building it straight from the box. There's nothing wrong with them, they're nice and clean and well done, and actually probably quite delicate, so a little bit of care needed, but yeah, railings, 2 of them. This one has the main mast spotting top on, so you've got the starfish for the spotting top. We've got some railings, some of them incorporating ladders. I'm never a big fan of that. Sometimes I detach them just for ease of assembly. We've got some fine details like weather vanes, ladders, little platforms with railings there. Not quite sure what that is. Again, some surface detail for some items and some bracing for the starfish, but I imagine it's not all the bracing. That looks very good. And then we've got this which goes further, that's on the rear mast, that one, I think, off the top of my head. So there's a little spotting top on there, and that's what that is. So if we flip it over, we've got the funnel caps, and we've got individual legs on these funnel caps, so they'll all have to be individually bent to come down and meet them. And what is interesting is we've got the little pulleys here, so if you see this ring on each one of those, there's a little pulley. You just have to fold that down. The pulley should face downwards, so don't leave it sticking out, and then a bit of easy line off there down to the base, and that'll look fairly good. We've got some parts for the ship's boats, rudders, propellers. I'm not clear what the other bits are, but that walkway goes inside your funnel. The last fret of photo etch now, and again we have 2 identical. This is fret D, and This bag wasn't sealed. All the others were. That's interesting. But yeah, what we can see here is we've got parts for pulleys, for cable reels. We've got some more railing. Doesn't feel like there's a lot of railing. I don't think there was enough railing to go around the outside of the ship there. We'll have to understand that. We've got some hatch lids. We've got I forget what they're called, but they're like little rocket launcher type things, which are really nicely done because you'll be able to see through those. They'll wrap around. You'll have to fold those into sort of a box, so that's interesting. A number of inclined ladders and some gussets and brackets and bits and pieces. So yeah, very nice. 2 of those. Nothing wrong with the photo etch. Item in box A is our decals. We do have depth markers, which is nice. They're a bit hard to see, and I'm not sure how correct they are, but they are there. And then we've got basically the white ensigns in static or fluttering, and we've got 2 what should be brass hoods to go on. It's a little underwhelming. There would be all sorts of little signs and bits and pieces that they could have done, but I'm glad to see that they've got depth markers on, because that's my usual moan with ship kits. And yeah, you can put these on some foil and they should be okay. There's quite a lot of backing film around them, so you might want to carefully cut that away, because you don't want to see that fluttering on your flag, do you? But yeah, nothing wrong with those. They're nice and vibrant. The register's good. Just they don't never go far enough with decals for ships for me. But that's the decals done, and that's box A. Box B. Let's have a look what we get inside that. Notoriously difficult to get inside these inner boxes, but Trumpeter's packaging is really very nice. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bags of sprues. So let's take those out and we can work through those one at a time. I'm not going to take the first one out of the bag because it's basically the nameplate, and these are braces for inside the hull, so you're never going to see them. They're purely functional. It doesn't say Trumpeter or anything like that on the nameplate, so that's really nice. It does give you the scale. Not everyone wants to see that, and unfortunately, because they've put the scale on, it means that the HMS has been shoved to one side, and for me it looks a little odd being over there. It should really be all on there. It does say that it's Hood 41, so you could possibly carefully sand that away and then maybe use some decals or something to put an HMS in the middle there, or British battle cruiser or something like that. But yeah, you could work with that, I think. I've certainly seen a lot worse. So that's the first bag. No need to look closely. It has 1 sprue in it, which is completely foam wrapped. So the packaging is brilliant, as always with Trumpeter. So this is sprue D, and it's a really nicely presented sprue with the ship's boats on here, which are really nicely slide moulded, I'm guessing. And the result of that is none of them have any ejector pin marks on the inside, and that is brilliant. Except for these 2. Just as I said it. That's a little bit of a shame, unless they get those go in and completely cover it up, in which case it doesn't matter, which looks like the case. So that's brilliant. So there's some nice detail on the ship's boats. We can see wood planking, and we've got a textured deck there, steel deck. That's really nice. You can see that in the light.
The boat's got nice detail on it as well, so that's good to see. We've got what look like shaft lines for the propeller to go in there, so that's really nice. This is the main boom for the crane. I think that's probably something to do with the mast. That certainly is. That's the back of the tripod, which is I mean, look at that moulding. Really clever with the pipework going up there. No flash or anything in there. Just lovely. Just lovely. We've got some booms, yard arms, mast tops, not quite sure, but very small, delicate, thin parts. And the shape of the ship's boats is really nice. That is really nicely done. I'm impressed with that. We can see there's a little bit of mould release on here, so important to wash this. Ship's little chocks, actually they're really lovely as well. We've got really nice rivet detail on there. You know, when you've cleaned them up, there's nothing wrong with those. Even if you've got photo etch, I'd be thinking twice about whether you need to replace those. They are lovely. Got, oh, it's a jet pin, that's why. Some form of boom or yard there. And again, some windows and things that you need to paint in, but fundamentally nothing wrong with those. That is a very nice fret of parts indeed. Right, we have two of these sprues, which is E, and again it was partially foam wrapped this time, and we've got more ship's boats. There's a lot of ship's boats on here, again some of which have been slide moulded, so they are very nicely done. That one seems to have got a bit twisted, but and then we've got the tops there, which again nicely moulded. There's nothing wrong with those. Very, very nice with little deck details and the like. We've got some little boxes there with the moulded on gussets, which is good. More mast leg. There's a lot of mast leg on this ship, isn't there? Then we've got some form of platform, which has got the gussetry underneath, nicely done. A little bit of raised ejector pin mark, so easy to clean up. Some ducting, another fair lead, mushroom vents, little D-ring there. And they look like possibly the lenses to search lamps, I would think. Not quite sure what those are. That's a loading, that's the lid for a loading point. Don't know, does that go on there? Not sure. More boat chocks, which they are really nice. Can't get over how well they've done those. That looks like parts for the anchor to me. Then we've got, that's the little copper life buoys that are suspended on the railings at the stern. Quite a prominent feature. It's a splash of colour against all the grey, that's why. Pyrovane there, and then cable reels, and look at how nicely they've done the cabling on there. That's really nice. And then that looks like searchlight lamp platforms to me. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. Lots of detail, nice and crisp. Fair amount of clean up because there's a lot of ejector pins being used on it. But yeah, very nice. Capstan there. Anti-aircraft platform. It's all really nicely done. Yep, lovely. Bag has three of these sprues. They come partly foam wrapped. So three of them might mean we get one or two duplications, but we can see on the end here that we've got this nice slide moulded structure here, which I think is some form of spotting top, if memory serves. That should that has the ability to fold back. I'm fairly sure in the Pontos set you can actually do that. I might be wrong. But this is armament primarily. Looking at it, we've got the anti-aircraft platform base, which is nicely done with the perforated deck. Now obviously the actual deck, that would be holes all the way through, but under a wash that'll look fantastic. We've got some ducting with ventilators on, more cable reels. I'm guessing that's something to do with the anti-aircraft, more fair leads, some small components there, not sure what a lot of those are. Some form of, they look a bit like capstans, but I'm not sure that they actually are. They might be for, there might be some fair leads with those in, possibly. Then we've got, anti-aircraft parts there. You can see the ammunition boxes have got ammunition in, which is a very nice touch. Some mushroom vents there to mount on the deck, and looks like some form of winding gear. And then our pom-poms, which are slide moulded, so they've got nice open ends on them. That's very nice, isn't it? Very, very nice. And we saw the photo etch that goes in those sort of wire baskets that you have to fold. They get mounted into there. I want to say, I forget what they're called. I do know, I should know, and if someone tells me, I'll go, oh, that's right. We've got another chimney there. Not quite sure what those are, but again, slide moulded, and some little davits. Very, very nice. Lots of detail being added into this. It is really nicely done. Yeah. Can't wait to build this. I really can't. Our next bag out has two of these sprues, Sprue G. And again, we're carrying on with armament. We've got slide moulded gun shields at the end, which have got some lovely detail on, including very subtle, I don't know if the camera can pick that up, very subtle rivet detail on the sides of that. That is beautiful, really nicely done. And when you look at them open-ended, they don't look too thick. They've done a really nice job of those. We've got a lot of mushroom vents there. We've got some little winches and ducting and little davits. Not quite sure what those are. We've got some open-ended pipework. They'll go around the funnel. So some form of vents. These are backs for these ammunition lockers, which look spot on with their little double doors. So opening, shelf opening. We've got some life rafts, just like the other one we saw, nicely done. Parts for building up the quad anti-aircraft guns. Slide moulded, so the openings are all open, which is nice. The same with those. Really nicely done. And we've got some form of boom or yard on there as well. That is really nice. And even the underneath of the gun platform, so that will go on top of that there. That's the side that the gun gets mounted in. That's the underneath, and they've even put the detail in there. So no stone unturned. Really, really nice. Stunning. Actually, our last bag in box B is another two of the same sprues we just looked at. So that is box B done.
First bag out of box C, and it is this rear deck section. So this is the section of deck that goes behind the bridge, and I mean, it's mainly just a wood textured deck. It's the bog standard wood planking that they do on all their ships. I'm sure it's just a cut and paste job from the last one they did. We've got a couple of openings for ladders, but they have been moulded shut. Whether you could open them up, I don't know, but there will be some ladders needed to be fixed into that place. You can see where they are here, so it would be possible to open them up, though you would need to thin down the plastic. Other than that, not much to say. It's nice and straight, not warped. Yeah, that's your deck section. The next part is huge. I can't get it all on camera. It is absolutely huge. It's like the length of a 1:350 scale battleships. It is huge. And this is the deck that fits on top. So the last deck we looked at was going up to that funnel point, and this goes on top of that, and the funnels and the structures mount on top of it. So we've got, at this end, we've got the splinter shields moulded in. You'd have to check that they're all correct. We've got ready use ammunition lockers, hatches, all moulded in. You've got the wood deck correctly done because we've got steel deck sections as well. We've got location points for various structures. Then we've got the join with the steel deck, and I think this was all anti-slip if I'm remembering correctly. So you've actually got recess lines on this, but these should be ridges. I think these should be the brass strips that hold down the anti-slip flooring. So for most people they wouldn't bother, but some people might want to replicate that, and of course you might want to check the pattern's correct as far as possible. But we've got the location point for the rear funnel and the funnel in front of it. Then we've got the forward superstructure point there. Yeah, very nice. Very, very nice. If we go on the side, we've got, unfortunately, we've got some elongated scuttles. That's the limitation of the moulding process. They perhaps should have put that on as a separate piece, but because they'll have slide moulded this, of course. Then we've got the bulkhead there, which has already got some of its supports in. So it's a clever bit of moulding, if nothing else. And then we have the rear bulkheads there, which is actually missing the word hood. It should have the hood word on there. But we've got we can open the window hatches, the door hatch there. There'll be a platform that goes on there with a ladder and stuff. And we've got the cable run, which is nice. You can just see there's a slide moulding seam to tidy up. But the part is nice and crisp. Cleanup is minimal. And if I run my finger around the edge, I can't actually feel any connection points to clean up on this. So that is truly lovely. A very nice and very complex bit of moulding. Very nicely done. Stern deck now, and again, we've got one or two hatches that are moulded in, but fundamentally there's nothing on here. So you've got the bases there for the armament. You've got bases for the bollards, and that's where our superstructure that we just looked at is going to come up to, and that is it. That's all that's on there, but again, nicely moulded, and better that we've got all this stuff going on separately, because you can paint it and keep it sharp, which is nice. Yeah, detail all looks correct, and yeah, very nice. Final piece of deck, which is the bow, is completely wrapped in foam for protection, which is nice. It's nice that they're doing that and making sure that it's kept safe. It has quite a point, the bow of this ship, so let's just unwrap it and see what we've got. There we go. So we have, same as before, we've got some lockers moulded on, and the nice wood decking, bases for bollards and armament. But the real business end is this bit here, where we've got the chain plates and bits and pieces, and everything's right and everything's nice. The shape of these is a little bit out, but again, for most modelers, it ain't going to be an issue. But if you get the Pontos upgrade set, you do get some resin replacements that does correct it, and it does look better for it. But most people wouldn't know. Most people that looked at that would not know that that isn't quite correct. It shouldn't be that teardrop shape really. So why they did that, I'm not sure. But the rest of it is all nice and correct. There should be some texturing on that, and again, I think both Eduard and Pontos deal with that. But yeah, very, very nice. So no issues. Nice and crisp, well presented, no cleanup. It's just plop it in, paint it up. And I seem to remember that the fit is quite good from a couple of videos I've seen as well. Next out of the bag, we have a couple of slide moulded structural parts. Both of these go underneath the shelter deck there. Those two structures that you can see there and there are these. So we've got all the scupples in place, and we've got the watertight doors. We've got some nice ventilation detail. You can just see they've put some mesh onto that. There's nothing down there. I'm guessing there should be. And then we've got doors on the end there. Yeah, very nice. I'm sure there should be some more detail on there, but you'd have to look at your references at that. But the shapes all look correct. So nothing wrong with those parts. Structure now, pretty much everything we're going to be looking at now in this box is all Superstructure main pieces. So we can see these are the two structures that the funnel sits on top. So we've got lots of nice ventilation detail moulded into there. More watertight doors, scuttles, ladders, vertical ladders, and then we've got some hatches on the top there as well. All very nicely done. So slide moulded, of course. And then this structure, couple of hatches on the top, and then it's ventilation mesh around the sides. Again, really lovely. That edge feels a little bit rough. Probably you can see that there. Just needs a bit of a tidy up. Got a lip on it. But you know, really nice, clean, well moulded parts. It's just lovely. These are the last two large pieces of Superstructure, which are to do with the forward Superstructure and the Admiral's Bridge and what have you, and the spotting tops and bits and pieces. So we've got this is the base piece here. This actually will go on top of there, I think, by the looks of it. It's really nicely moulded. There is a little bit of a mould witness on there, but you get that with slide moulding, so a bit gentle sanding. But it is a lovely one-piece bit of moulding. We've got no stanchions on the inside of the splinter shield, but how visible that's going to be, I don't know. We'll have a couple of search lamps, signal lamps I should say, that go on there, but the rest of it is fairly covered up, I seem to remember. But everything looks nice and sharp and well presented. And then on this one, these are all it's armoured windows, so you've got quite a thick armoured structure here, which you get the right impression from it, so that it'll be difficult to open those up, so you'll just be painting those in. But yeah, very nicely done, no issues. We've got some pipe work and bits and pieces running up it. Again, some seam to remove, but generally it's a really nice bit of moulding, as it has been throughout. The parts are all loose in two bags. We'll start with, or three bags I should say. We'll start with the propellers, and actually for plastic moulded propellers, these are really nice. Look how thin the blades are. Really, really nice. Now whether they're quite got the twist correct, I don't know, but they look good to me. So there's a bit of clean up on the edge there, but there's also a bit of clean up just on the shaft there, which will be a little bit awkward. So cleaning them up won't be easy, but then we do get metal ones in the Trumpeter upgrade set, and you get brass ones in the Pontos upgrade set. So there are options out there. And we've got Admiral's Bridge, again, all closed up windows. To be honest, painting them is probably the best way to go. It's always a little bit difficult to open up these, and when you look inside, the shape is going to be difficult to get in just because of the depth of it. That's going to be quite a thick piece of moulding, so you're best just painting them in. But yeah, very nice. You've got detail on the sides, you've got doors in places. Yeah, we can see where decks are going to slide in, so all very nice. This is the structure that goes just aft of the rear mast there. So it's the last large structure before you get to the stern guns and the stern deck drops and what have you. These should be open. These aren't filled. They're not windows, they're not doors, they are open. So you will need to drill those out for the correct effect. But everything else is correct. The shape is correct. It's very nicely done. Some seam visible there, which will be very difficult to clean up, but no doubt is doable. And this here is a mistake on each side here. So I'm not quite sure what's happened, but they got it mixed up on the computer. That is a flag locker, and it should be on the inside of the bulkhead, not the outside of the bulkhead. So quite how they did that, I don't know. But yeah, that is an error. So you'll want to sand that off and either replace it with Aftermarket or scratch build something up. Yeah, otherwise, a really nice bit of moulding. Then we've got the spotting top, which goes on the main mast there, at the front mast. Very nicely moulded. The roof of the deck is very slightly domed, as it should be. It's not completely flat, as you often see in kits. So that's really nice. You've got the doors at the back. Again, paint those windows in, and that'll look spot on. More armoured structure here. Again, very delicately moulded with the little rainaways moulded in above them, the eyebrows if you like. A little bit of clean up needed, but all very nice. Then we've got this structure. Did know what it was. I know what a lot of these are, but I just need to refresh my memory. But again, this goes on the just behind the boat deck. We've got some ventilators nicely moulded in. Yeah, very nice. I seem to think there might be some minor issue with these, but again, most people are never going to know, are they? Then we've got a couple of these. They're not quite the same. You can see one's got some form of locker outside. I'm not quite sure where these go off the top of my head, but they look nicely detailed. We've got cable runs and ladders and bits and pieces on them. So they're very nice. And then our last plastic part is this little ventilator box here, again, which has some openings on the top. Very nice indeed. So there you have it. Trumpeter's 1:200 scale HMS Hood battle cruiser. So ignoring the grammar, what are my first impressions? Well, I have to say that I think Trumpeter did an excellent job with this kit, and I think it's probably the best 1:200 scale kit they've produced in terms of overall accuracy, mainly because most of the ships they produce, there's an issue with the hull. I can't think of a ship kit that I've got that doesn't have a hull shape issue, other than this one, which is largely okay. The plates on the side are probably a little bit too pronounced, but there's ways around that should you be interested in doing so. Highlights:
lots and lots of detail. It's well moulded. The build sequence, although in places not to my liking, generally isn't too bad. It should go together well. There's never really an issue with fit with Trumpeter stuff generally. So yeah, very, very nice. And they even put depth markers in on the decals. Low lights, the paint instructions are junk, as always. They're out of date with what was known even at the time that this was released. It was sort of known about the same time. But there's one or two little things that are missing that they didn't update their knowledge after they'd collected the information for the 1 to 3 50 scale kit. So there is one or two little things like the platform on the spotting top and the little tunnels that go out to some of the rangefinders. But it's minor stuff. Most people can build that out of the box with the photo etch provided and be more than happy. Now, having said that, there is aftermarket stuff available. I think if you've never built a 1 to 200 scale kit before and you fancy having a go and you're not too bothered about your subject, then I think there's 2 reasons to pick this one. Firstly, I think it's probably one of the best kits they've produced at this scale. And secondly, it's one of the most beautiful ships ever designed. Right, shall we have a quick talk about aftermarket? As you can imagine, a ship of this fame isn't going to get ignored by the aftermarket people. And there is loads of aftermarket out there, so I'm going to just briefly jog you through some of this, and then I can point you in the direction of another video which has a look a bit more closely at it. So not long after the kit came out, Trumpeter released this kit, which gives you white metal propellers, so you don't have all the cleanup. They're just ready for painting. Aluminium main gun barrels, blast bags, breeches for the secondary armament, and it also gives you some brass barrels for the secondary armament as well. So you get 4 sets of blast bags, 14 of the brass guns, and you get the little instructions on the back, and that is it. So a nice little update to the basic standard kit. So if you wanted to build out of the box, you don't have blast bags, so that gives you something that gives you a nicer feel. It gives you some turned metal barrels, which always look a little bit better under paint, and it saves you the cleanup on those really quite nice plastic propellers anyway. So that's an option if you want to build it out of the box. That's a good way to go. One of the issues with the hull is the degaussing cable that goes around the outside of it is really quite thick. And doesn't look right, and that's where this comes in. So there is photo etch degaussing cable from Scale Warship. If you put Google Scale Warship, you'll find their website, and basically what you get is 1 fret with all of the photo etch that you need to build the degaussing cable around the whole entirety of the hull, and also they give you these little blocks here which are not included in the kit. So that is also a nice little easy upgrade to building it straight from the box. And I have to say, if you buy the Pontos set, which has got the degaussing cable in, you still really want this because this is better and more accurate than the Pontos one. So for me, the Scale Warship photo etch for degaussing cable is the best you can get. It's still available to my understanding. I did have a quick look on the website earlier today and it was still listed. So yeah, and it's not expensive, so it's a good way to go.
Now, before there was Pontos, there was Eduard, and Eduard brought out a number of sets of photo etch. I'm just going to show you how much they produced. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 frets of etch. And you've got improvements for the armament. Let's go through them actually. You've got a main top set. You have to be careful because not everything on the fret is for the main top. But you've got a main top set which includes some railings and fair leads and bits and pieces. You've got a superstructure set which has bits for the funnel, breakwaters and bits and pieces like that in there. All sorts of splinter shields and watertight doors. You've got the deck set, which has locker fronts, watertight doors. It's got the chain plate, checker chain plate for the bow, and all sorts of bits and pieces for building up capstans and cable reels and all sorts of little bits. Really nice little bit of photo etch that. Then you've got the life raft set, which has bits for all the ship's boats, life rafts, adds oars, all sorts of bits and pieces added into that, which really enhance that, and it even gives you complete replacement of the upper works on the ship's boats, so you can glaze them if you wish. There's a railing set. Generally, the railings are nicer than the generic style that you get in the Trumpeter kit, because you've got some of the railings have got little spars on them and stuff. So I would say it's one notch up from what you've got in the kit. So quite nice. Then you've got radars, which has got all sorts of bits and pieces in for the searchlights as well, and signal lamps and ladders and anything that's going around the spotting tops, all sorts of little bits and pieces. And you've got then finally rocket launchers and anti-aircraft guns. So we're replacing some of the plastic bases and making up lockers, and you know, there's just tons of tiny little parts, enough to make you go mad, quite frankly. There's tons of it, and that will add a quite hefty amount of additional instructions that you've then got to sync into your build. So that is an option. These can be built. The beauty of the Eduard stuff is you don't have to buy it all as one massive set like you do with Pontos, or to a lesser degree Mark 1. But you can, so you could, if you wanted to, you could say, right, well, to be honest, I'm happy with the kit in the box, but I do want to upgrade the life rafts, or I do want to upgrade the superstructure, or I think the main top would look better if I added some of these parts. So you've got things that you can add into, you can buy into as little or as much of the Eduard stuff as you like. It is still all available. Now, the other thing that Eduard do is they give you the option of populating the hood with crew. So you can get 1 to 200 Navy figures. They're basically self-adhesive. You fold them up and they are pre-painted and they look the part. But you're going to need a lot of them for the hood to look busy, because they will just disappear into nothingness on that big ship. Now, also, Mark 1 designs have a set or a range of sets for the hood, and their approach is that you can buy into an armament set, or separately a mast set, or separately they'll do a set on maybe on the ship's boats or something like that, and then they'll do a value set which covers superstructure and the hull and that sort of thing. and then they'll do they call it a DX set, which is like the deluxe version, and they bring all of those sets together and offer you the whole thing, which is sort of the equivalent of the Pontos offering. So it gives you the options to buy different little bits. So if you're happy with it, building it out of the box, but you'd like the masts to be brass just so they're a bit stronger and you don't have all the cleanup to do, you can do that. So, or you can buy the armament set and get all the brass barrels and bits and pieces and the blast bags and stuff and make that bit look better and leave the rest as it was intended in the box. So that gives you a little bit of flexibility and has the advantage over the Eduard set that it will have turned brass in it, so you'll get barrels and stuff. But you could buy the Eduard stuff and you could buy the barrels from Master and put it together yourself that way, and it's probably the cheapest way of doing it. Now, after all of those, you've got Pontos, and this is the Pontos set here. So the advantage of the Pontos set is it covers everything. The disadvantage of the Pontos set is you can only buy it as everything. You've not got an option to break it down a little bit. So you get wood deck, you get photo etch, you get turned brass parts, and you get resin parts. And well, Pontos resin can be a little bit hit and miss, although I have to say this doesn't look too bad in fairness. You get lots of turned brass for all sorts of things, including swapping out the masts and brass propellers and all the booms. So you get absolutely tons of it, weighs a ton. You get all of this photo etch, so let's just count that. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 frets of photo etch. It has some corrections in here, so the starfish that's got the missing walkway, they've put the walkway in for you. So there are some things that in there that are corrected, so that's another advantage of the Pontos set. The railings that they supply are the best. They've got the little tensioning pulleys and bits and pieces on there. I'm forgetting the word. But yeah, you can see them all on there. So painted up, they will look stunning. And you get the big deck, steel deck that replaces for the anti-slip deck with ridges rather than grooves, so that's correct. And yeah, and a really nice nameplate plaque, which quite honestly you could just put that on as it is. You don't need to paint that or anything because it just looks lovely. Or you could paint it a colour and give it a light sand with a very, very fine grit and take the silver back. But that is lovely too. Pontos decks, usually not the best decks you can get, but actually at 200 scale they do a better job of them, and these are actually really nice self-adhesive decks. There's a little bit more photo etch here. One of them is a correction piece for something in the funnel, and one of them is a correction piece for I can't remember what, but it's where one of the name plaques goes. You also get in here, I've not got all mine, some dry rub transfers. I donated mine to my white ones to a fellow modeller, Steve at the Model Shed, when he built his. So you get that, but that also means you're adding all of this, and it's not small, to your instructions, and not everything that's in there will actually be in your instructions, and some of the instructions will be wrong, and well, yeah, I'm not going to go into detail, but that is your ultimate set. Now, if you want to see how the Pontos set compares to the Eduard set, I did do a video. I'll try and remember to put a link to it at the end of this video, comparing the two. But for me, the Pontos set is the best set, but it's also the most expensive option, and it's, you know, you buy it all or you buy nothing, which isn't within everyone's budget. So there you have it. That's what you can get for the aftermarket. There might be one or two other things knocking about that I'm not aware of, but that's the main stuff. So there you have it. That's HMS Hood. Today was the anniversary at the time that this went out, which is the 24th of May. So thanks for looking in. You enjoy your modelling, and I will see you very soon.